Okay, in this video, we are going to be finding the minimum and maximum values of a function with given constraints, which means we are doing Lagrange multipliers. So this is assignment number 4 from my Calc CD class. There's only a couple of problems, but Lagrange multipliers problems tend to have a lot of work. So let's get into it. All right, so we have f of xy is x squared plus y squared, and then our constraint is 2x plus 3y equals 6. So to do Lagrange multipliers, we need the gradient of f, and we need the gradient of the constraint function, which usually is g, and you take the constraint and set it equal to 0, and then just manipulate it. So the gradient rather of f is going to be partial x, partial y, which in this case will be 2x comma 2y. So what I mean by establishing g is like we take this thing and we just call it g of xy. Move everything to one side and we just say g of xy equals 0. It allows you to frame the question a little more cleanly when you like describe Lagrange multipliers. In practice, it doesn't really impact the solution that you get. So if you just start off with 2x plus 3y equals 6 and find like partial x, partial y, you'll get the answer. So we need the gradient of g, which is going to be 2 comma 3, right? Partial x, partial y, which you can see if you just use 2x plus 3y, you would get that. All right, so Lagrange multipliers is essentially a system of equations that we now need to solve, and it will give us the maximum and the minimum points. It won't tell us if they are the max or min, so we're gonna have to deal with that, but we start off with the gradient of f is lambda, which is the Lagrange multiplier, times the gradient of g. And also we have the constraint function. If we don't include the constraint function, we have too many equations. No, we have too many unknowns and not enough equations. The constraint function gives us that extra equation that allows us to solve. All right, so using gradient f equals lambda gradient g, we get 2x comma 2y is lambda, and then 2 comma 3. From this, we get two equations in 3 unknowns, right? We get 2x is 2 lambda, 2y is 3 lambda. So that's 2 equations with 3 unknowns, x, y, and lambda. Our third equation is 2x plus 3y equals 6. And this is the system that we need to solve for x and y. So typically what you do is you basically try to eliminate lambda as soon as possible. So I'm going to say lambda is x, or lambda is 2y over 3. And from that, we know that x is equal to 2y over 3. And now we know the relationship between x and y, and we can go to our constraint and substitute that in, right? So we get 2 times 2/3 y plus 3y is 6. And we can solve this, so 13 over 3 y plus is equal to 6, rather. So that means that y is equal to 18 over 13. We also need to find x, obviously. So we can just go back over here, because we know x is 2/3 of y. So x is going to be 2/3 of 18/13, which means 36 over 39, or 12/13. All right, so we have our ordered pair, right? This is where either the maximum or the minimum happen, but we don't know which yet. So we need to work that out. So what we're going to do first is just evaluate the function at this point, which is super annoying. So 12/13 squared plus 18/13 squared. It's not as bad as it could be, because 12 and 18 are both multiples of 6. So you can, if you have to, you can cleverly rewrite this as 6 squared and then 2 squared plus 3 squared over 13 squared. And then, so 2 squared is 4, obviously. 3 squared is 9. 4 plus 9 is 13. So actually that 13 cancels with one of the 13s in the denominator, and we just get 36 over 13. So it's actually not that bad to simplify. That's arithmetic in the middle of this multivariable calculus problem, and I'm talking about how hard it is. So what we need to do now is just find literally any other point that's on the constraint and see what that gives us when we plug it into the function. So for example, the point 3, 0, it definitely satisfies that. And f of 3, 0 is 9. And 9 is bigger than 36 over 13, which means we must have found the minimum value. If 9 was less than the thing we found, then we would have found the maximum value, because Lagrange multipliers definitely finds the maximum or the minimum. It just doesn't tell you which, you know, is great. All right, so f of xy has absolute minimum at 12/13 comma 18/13. All right, let's take a look at another one. All right, f of xy is xy. We have 4x squared plus 9y squared equals 32. We're gonna rearrange that to be g of xy again, but again, I skip that when I'm usually just doing them. So we need the gradient of f. Partial x is y and partial y is x. Excuse me. We need to create g of xy. So take everything there and just move it to one side and name it g of xy. So we have this. From here, we need the gradient of g. So the gradient of g is partial x, which is 8x, and partial y, which is 18y. Okay, and then our Lagrange multipliers equation is gradient of f is lambda gradient of g. And our constraint provides the extra equation. So we also know 4x squared plus 9y squared is 32. All right, from the lambda equation, we get two equations in three unknowns. So we get yx is lambda and then 8x comma 18y. So y is equal to lambda times 8x, and x is equal to lambda times 18y. And then remember, we have this constraint, which gives us our third equation, so that we can have three equations in three unknowns instead of two in three unknowns, and that's a problem. All right, typically you want to get rid of lambda as soon as you can. Also, I have a tickle in my throat, so I'm definitely going to cough at some point. There we go. So lambda is y over 8x. Lambda is also x over 18y. So because they're both equal to lambda, they're equal to each other. So we have y over 8x is x over 18y. Also, let's keep going. So I mean, we have 18y squared is 8x squared, which means that you either have to solve for x or for y. It's up to you. So I'm gonna solve for y squared is 4 over 9x squared, which is useful because in the constraint, we have x squared and we have y squared. So I can just replace the y squared with 4 over 9x squared at this point. So for whatever reason, I don't do that. I don't know. Moving it over, I'm going to factor. Did I make life harder by doing this? Maybe. Y minus, I write these out ahead of time and then I like work through them with you. What am I doing here? I mean, I'm not breaking any rules, but I think this is weird. So either y is 2/3 x or y is negative 2/3 x. I mean, sure. But couldn't I have just taken y squared is 4/9 x squared and subbed it into the constraint? I think I could have. I'm effectively about to do that. All right, we're subbing in here. 4x squared plus 9. And now either plus or minus 2/3 x, and we're squaring it, which again is just 4/9 x squared, is 32. So this, when we clean it up, will ultimately give us 8x squared is 32. So x squared is 4, which means x is plus or minus 2. Now it is kind of useful that I did this y is 2/3 x, y is negative 2/3 x thing, because we do have to find the y values that go with these x values. So let's pull it to another screen here. So we're taking these with us. All right, so if x is equal to 2, then y is either 4/3 or y is negative 4/3. So that gives us 2 points. And then if x is negative 2, then y is equal negative 4/3 or y is equal to positive 4/3. So that gives us another 2 points. We have 4 points, which is kind of ideal. It's I mean, people like don't like it as much, I guess, because it's a little more work maybe to find multiple points. But if you have multiple points and you sub them in, if they don't give you the same value back, one is definitely the maximum, one is definitely the minimum. So that we don't have to go to the constraint, find another point that satisfies it, and like go from there. All right, so our points are these 4. We have to take all 4 of them and plug them into f. So if we plug in 2 comma 4/3, we get 8/3. If we plug in 2 comma negative 4/3, we get negative 8/3. So already we know that the maximum is 8/3 and the minimum is negative 8/3. Guaranteed. Well, not guaranteed, because what if the other ones give us like 25/3 and negative 25/3? We actually have to keep going, which I knew, but I just said the other thing because it sounded cooler. Negative 2 4/3 gives us negative 8/3 again, and then negative 2 negative 4/3 gives us positive 8/3 again. So we have absolute maxes at 8/3 and absolute minimums at negative 8/3. So it just depends on the question. Is the question where does it occur, or is it what is it, right? So we know that the maxes are at 2, 4/3 and -2, -4/3. The mins are at 2, -1/4 and -2, +4/3. I don't know. I think I said 1. I don't know what I said there. Losing my voice. But anyway, finish that problem. Pretty good. All right, I'm going to do... I think I might actually split this video here, and I will come back in the next one and finish this assignment. So I hope this was helpful, and good luck.